Hi guys, hope you're doing well. I thought as Automobilista 2 has just been released to general public, I thought I'd cover my force feedback settings in game and what I've got them at so far, and what the developer for Automobilista 2 has said about the force feedback and what each part represents. So let's jump into the game and get into it. Okay, so the first thing under force feedback is the profile. And this is what the profile means from the developers themselves over at Reza Studios. I'll put a link down below, but this is what it means, the profile. Currently there is only one, the default profile, that should only be changed to custom if you modify the FFB custom settings text file in my documents. Automobilista 2 folder. If you haven't changed that file, custom will be no different from default. So going by that logic then, we do not need to change this to custom right now, so we can leave that alone. Okay, so now we get into stuff we can adjust. So the first one is gain. Now, so let's read what they say. It defines maximum force output. The default 100% setting has some clipping built in, specifically on high downforce vehicles such as the steering column torque can easily exceed 30 Newton meters when car is under heavy load in fast corners, while front tyres are fully gripped and self-aligning. Torque is very high. For direct drive wheels, we recommend a setting between 40 and 50%. And they say all their testing so far has been done on a Fanatec DD1 wheelbase. So for my CSL Elite, I've gone for 65 as it's more powerful than a Logitech, and this seems to do the job. It has nowhere near the Newton meter power of a direct drive wheel, as it only has 6 Newton meters. 65 seems to be a good balance between it being strong but also not being overly powerful. There might still be some clipping right now that I'm getting, but I feel the car more being at 65. The next setting is low force boost, and this basically just amplifies the lower force feedback that you're getting. The second paragraph under this just says, if you feel the force feedback is lacking or limp when travelling at slow speeds or during straights, you may want to experiment with some level of LFB. Maybe set it as high as 80% for the Logitech G2X or other similar wheels, while stronger Fanatec and Thrustmaster wheels should be set somewhere in the range of 30 and 60. I have my Fanatec set on my high end, so it's 60, and there seems to be quite a good balance now for feeding the rear of the car when I lose it. It's still not perfect, but I'll tell you what, it's better than it was. The third, I guess you could say, major one is FX, and it says that it adds a little vibration from the engine as it goes through the RPM range, very faint and linked to the engine's actual angular velocity. It also adds a tyre scrub effect, which functions of the tyre vibration that would naturally transfer as vibration into the wheel rim fed by the physics. And I've definitely felt this one when I've been on the brakes and the fronts have locked. Yeah, so this one's more for immersion than anything else. For actual feedback coming in and out of the turns for how the car is dealing balance wise, this doesn't do much at all, but just simply adds immersion. So a setting of 30 definitely seems high enough for me. Now the third and final one is this menu spring. It controls wheel central spring only while navigating the UI. For DDE wheels, it should be set to 0 for some or some other very low value. Now I don't see it needing to be high tools as well on any other rim if it's literally just sitting in the pit. So 30, it still has a feel of resistance, but it's really low, so just make sure you wheel straight. 100, no point. So like I said, I'll link this down below if you're not dealing with a Fanatec, but now I'm going to go over the settings I've got for my actual wheel. So let's get into that. So like it should say in the title of this video, I have a Fanatec CSL Elite PS4 version. So I've actually found that, let's start off with the major one that I feel is going to get overlooked when it really shouldn't do, and that's the wheel angle. Now I have mine set at 380, Now when I first started up the game, I set this to auto to synchronise with every car, but I just find it really difficult with the wheel shape I've got to turn any car. So the best thing to do is actually set the wheel angle you want to drive with. So I want to drive with the wheel literally rotates upside down, and that's it. Set it to that and then calibrate the wheel on that setting, and every car then will be 1-to-1 with your wheel, which is fantastic because that basically means, for me anyway, I'm able to turn cars that usually on automatic would mean that I have to turn the wheel completely over 1.5 times, which just isn't nice. So there's that one. So set that whatever your preference is. Now, overall force feedback strength, I'd almost set this again almost how you feel, because depending on to each car it can feel different. I find being sort of in the 90s rather than 100 better, because it stops any actual clipping that could come from the game. So right now I have it at 94. Right, vibration strength SHO is literally just set for preference again, but it only works if you have a club sport steering wheel, which I believe I don't, so I have it at 60, but you could probably have it off because that's just default. ABS I won't really cover because that just is about V3 pedals, club sport V3 pedals and V3i pedals that are connected to the wheel pace. So DRI, basically you can have, this needs to be set quite high for this game, so between 2 or 3 is the best. I've got it at 3, so the wheel feels loose, but this force feedback seems to make the wheel quite sort of sticky anyway, so 3 is definitely good rather than going in the minuses. Now, game force strength, I've got 100 currently. I'd actually probably say this needs lowering a little bit to 90, but see how you feel with 100. If you feel like it's clipping, then move it down. Right, SPR, which is basically the strength of the spring from the game, I have that at 50, so there's still some resistance in the wheel when I turn, but it's not 100%. Now let's go on to DPR. So this is the dampening of the actual wheel from the game. Now I like this quite low, the least amount of dampening I think the better. So I have this on 20, still is able to smooth out any really high bumps that come from the force feedback, but you're still able to feel little increments of force feedback. Now FEI, this one you do not want it higher than I'd say about 50. If you go into 60, 70, you start to get real bad vibrations from the wheel. So say go for 60, if you don't like the vibration, hit it down to 50 so you get the best possible feeling through the wheel. So that's the actual wheelbase itself. Now I find brake force, BRF, needs to be looked at. I find the brake and acceleration in this game to be super sensitive. So 60 for me, I have it quite high because I feel like the brakes are so easily locked in this game. And in-game brake dead zone I have at 30 right now. So just something to take note if you're struggling with the brake, because a lot of these cars don't seem to have ABS and there's no way to measure your inputs or see them. So a higher dead zone for the load cell as well definitely will help you out. Right guys, well the more and more I play this game, I'll probably release another force feedback video if I learn any more, especially as this game's going to get loads of updates in the coming years as well. If you found any force feedback that works really well for you, just share it here and I'll try it out so anyone else watches this video as well can see your settings. Thanks again guys, this is Billy Goat Boy signing out. See you guys on the track.